Hello, today for review I've got yet another in-ear monitor that gathering popularity, rising the momentum and getting more and more positive reviews. It's SeeAudio Yume, или Yume, probably Yume. I like this way of pronouncing more. Idea behind this in-ear monitors is pretty simple. Get single dynamic driver, get two balanced armatures, and tune them after the Harman target curve to create natural and pretty uncolored sound signature that is not boring at the same time. And spoiler, they succeed, and pack everything in stylish package, not only box, but of course I mean also shells of earphones. Add here a pretty reliable price, about $170 currently. I will add links to the Hi-Fi Go shop in the description, and you'll get a pretty interesting model, so it's no surprise that it's gathering that attention. And enough words, let's probably have a closer look. You can see that package is pretty big and done in popular style nowadays, with some kind of anime girl or anime lady, or actually maybe not a girl, who knows nowadays. On the back side we can see the frequency response, we can see the description of technologies, so a lot of text based on the Harman target curve, low frequency filter conversion, explanation of how it's done in terms of crossover, sensitivity 106 decibels, 32 ohms of impedance, less than 2% of harmonic distortion. Actually, really good combination of impedance and sensitivity, meaning not too hard to drive and at the same time not too easy. And inside of that box there is another box, main one, pretty big. So I'd like to see a bit less cardboard here, but of course it's not a problem. So you will get kind of warranty card, short manual, set of stickers with company's mascot, yet another sticker, so you can glue a lot of stickers. Two sets of tips, so silicone tips in 4 sizes, foam tips in 2 sizes, so good selection of tips. Storage can, traditional for many models, stock wire, and of course earpieces themselves. Let me pull them out, remove the box, I don't need it for now. Here they are. So nice, accurate design, nothing super fancy, nothing super glittery, so really strict design, but at the same time looks pretty pleasant. Dark gray shells with a kind of bit of green tip, and dark green faceplates with company's logo and model name and some kind of glitter, but not too bright, so looks strict and will be okay for everyone. Shapes themselves is traditional, pretty ergonomic, fitting nicely into ears. So you know, many audiophiles nowadays have ears that is imprinted by these shells, and they fitting nicely. You can explore the internals, you can see the dynamic driver, some wiring, parts of crossover, driver and boards, so all that parts can be analyzed and explored. So second driver, if I see right. Boards themselves have a proper angle, they have slightly above average length, and that means slightly above average sound isolation. There is a lip for holding the tips and a protective grill, so all of that parts are done nicely. Here we can see the vent holes for pressure relief, so all details are done with a lot of attention. And the stock cable is pretty nice. It's really pleasant, soft, it looks fancy, it feels pretty good, so in this aspect good wire, both in terms of aesthetics and in terms of usability. Here used traditional 2-pin sockets, cable fit pretty hardly, and they hold pins pretty well. So, but of course we need to be careful in connecting them. No unnecessary force applied. So there are ear hooks, but they are almost useless because cable itself is soft and there is no microphonic effect. So they're just here just to hold that shape. Cable is thick, but at the same time pretty soft, almost not getting hard when it's cold outside, pleasant. So here is splitter with chin slider, and after splitter it goes braided down to the regular jack. So cable is really nice, so what I can say. And to summarize this part, in terms of design, package, accessory set, so all exterior stuff is done on a good level for this price tires, so no more nor less. And of course about the sound, I gave them about 40 hours of burn-in, but sound didn't change noticeably, so if you'll get them, don't spend time with extended burn-in, just find the proper tips and you're okay. Actually, usually I'm using the biggest tips, but this time I used medium because spouts are pretty extended, so a bit smaller tips gave me a better fit. And it's one of the most reviewed in-ear monitors of last times. If I remember right, if I'm not mistaken, there are 18 reviews for this model on Hietala, and it's a pretty lot. But many of them repeating one same idea, and actually I even know who was the originator of this idea, who first described their sound in this way, and after that actually many people hear it this way. So the idea of that reviews, actually, you know, I won't be talking about that. I want to share my impression and I won't reference other reviews. If you're interested, go to the Hietala and read them, but actually, I'm just sharing my reviews. I'm not pretending to be the only or the main source of truth, just what I hear. And there are some controversy in the review of this model because many people, actually not many, some people referencing like good sub-bass and at the same time lacking of sub-bass rumble. I read that on the Hietala there are pro and con part of reviews, and I was like, what? Okay, so let's have a player on the table. Probably I did good job promoting Hietala for you. So it will be Aston Kern SP2000 and to summarize, so this model is not bass heavy, despite of slight accent on bass. Accent is not big, it's just a tiny bit to add a bit more presence, but at the same time main accent here is done on the deeper layers of bass. These earphones have a pretty good depth, maybe not the maximum, but pretty good, and actually they have nice rumble. I don't know why some mentioning that they lacking sub-bass rumble. For me, for my taste, it's a really proper amount of sub-bass presence. It's definitely, of course, not the model for the bass heads or even not for those who like average amount of low frequencies, but for me, rumble is nice and actually pretty good detalization on low frequencies. Of course, not maximum, but pretty nice with good amount of overtones. So, you know, another complaint was like lacking of technicality on the low frequencies. Of course, they are not the most technical, but they sound natural, they represent acoustic instruments pretty nicely with good amount of overtones, so maybe they are not super fast or super transparent with super fast transitions, but they sound with a good sense of realism and with a really good timbre balance, and that's nice. With groups like Musica Nuda, Casey Abrams, all that stuff with acoustic double bass that I'm using for tests, they sounding natural and engaging. At the same time, they're not pushing bass forward and they're not trying to highlight low frequencies or something like that. But as an example, I have selected this track. It's Massive Attack, Man Next Door, so you probably heard Massive Attack, and you know that this group is not mainly, but hugely depends on the low frequencies. Deep bass, middle bass, all kinds of bass, multi-layered bass, they are masters of low frequencies. Of course, they're not forgetting about other parts of sonic spectrum, but lows play vital role in their tracks, and this model plays that track nicely with that deeper layers of bass present and good. Of course, they're not dominating or sounding subwoofer like in some bassier models, but amount is good. You know, it seems I'm listening myself right now, and it seems like I'm trying to protect this model. But SeeAudio Yume doesn't need that protection because it's just a good model. It's not like universal in terms of V-shapeness of tuning. Actually, they promote it like being V-shaped and or Harman curve, but at the same time they're not the universal, they just did it in a bit different way. And actually that's good. And bass, of course, is pretty well controlled and always stays on its place, not shadowing the mids. Mids, it's just a single balanced armature, nice, clean, crisp, detailed, pretty forward, but at the same time it's not focused on the micro contrast, and it's not sounding super analytical like usually balanced armature does. So it's a pretty balanced representation, but at the same time model doesn't highlight weight. So maybe on some not properly recorded tracks, weight they can lack some weight, but it's more a matter of record, not the earphones. With properly recorded stuff, it will be okay. And they have pretty good dynamics, so it's not the model for those who need that polar opposites, like super focused on the micro detalization and thin and analytical, or super weighty, heavy, thick with highlighted emotions or something like that. So they are natural, uncolored, and at the same time not going into micro detalization too much, not super critical for the quality of record, but at the same time really critical for the source, because it really depends on the source. What you will select as a source highly changes the sound of this model. I like them a bit more with models that not focused on the micro contrast. For example, FIO M11, not the best pairing for that. But like Shenling's M6 Pro, for example, I didn't test new version, old one, sounds nice with good amount of dynamics boost. So, imaginary stage is above average, not hugely, but still above, and width is a bit better than depth, but depth layering is still pretty okay. And as an example for the mid frequencies, I've got Marco Hietala for you. So, news about Marco leaving Nightwish was the worst thing of last year, and actually it's worse than COVID situation and global economic crisis and any other stuff ever. I really hope that Marco will deal with his mental issues and will return back, maybe not in Nightwish, maybe as a solo performer or with some other band, because his solo album is also really great. I really recommend it. Many people say that it's better to listen it in the original language, but I selected English version because I wanted to understand the lyrics. It's important for me, and it's emotional vocal. It's good if emotional male vocal recorded in proper, not superbly, but okay, and that requires good technical mids. Actually, you know, probably technical maybe not the proper word, because this model don't try to be technical, it tries to be natural. So it's not trying to focus on the small nuances, details and show it to you. Just play it nicely, emotionally, with good amount of realism. And treble, actually the treble has average extension. They decided not to create super extended treble, And it's a bit pity here, because if they added a bit more treble extension, probably they would sound more mature. But at the same time, treble here is nicely balanced. It's accented but not too sharp. Maybe for super treble sensitive persons it could be, but not for regular people. I think it won't be too sharp, with fast attacks and decays, with good resolution. So good, clean, crisp, balanced armature treble, but at the same time not overdone, without sound too metallic, without sounding too harsh, without super highlighted sibilance. So nice, well balanced and fitting to the overall tonality of this model, sounding really natural. If they added a bit more extension, probably it made sound more saturated with overtones, but probably more treble extension required another balanced armature. Actually, I googled SeeAudio lineup, and Yume is the only affordable model in their lineup. They have two models with price tier above $1,000. One is 10 balanced armature, second is hybrid with electrostatics and so on. So good, clean, crisp treble. And as an example, Marvin Gaye, Distant Lover, and just great male vocal with overtones going to the treble area, and this model once again plays it in a nice and realistic way, as it should be. And in terms of pairing, I already said that it really source dependent, so what you will connect to them, they will give you. And they don't require super driving power, they don't require something super high-end, so they can be paired nicely with high-bass R3, but of course better would be something like a Basso Dixon 160, so middle of the mid segment. Speaking about the comparisons, just few models as a reference. FIO FH3 is more V-shaped with more bass and with slightly more highlighted treble. And BQ EYZ Spring, it's less mid-centric, but more emotional, more boosting macrodynamic stuff, and with a bit tighter bass and a bit more extended treble. But this one is a more mid-centric with a bit better tonality overall. SeeAudio L4, for example, is also with bigger bass and slightly more extended treble, closer to traditional V-shaped signature. SeeAudio L3, it's warmer on mids with more weight and less resolution. There are a lot of other models that I can't recall right now, so to summarize, it's a really pleasant model, especially if you like mid-frequencies, especially for the vocal music, but with many other genres I like them too. So maybe they're not technical like some people say, but for me they're technical enough to sound natural and engaging, so I really like this model, and I will probably keep them for myself because I like them in this price tier. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a nice day, of course.